Herzlich willkommen. On the 12th of August, the sun will be eclipsed by the moon. And so this lunation cycle starts with an interruption of radiance. Symbolically, this brings forth the question which light has to disappear for more truer light to return. And by truer I mean more honest, radiating from the honest and expressive heart. So the question might not be, can I express myself? But the deeper question is, which self am I expressing? Expression in its nature can be so joyful and playful. Then it arises from the inner child who just plays because life is overflowing and wants to take form. But it can also arise from a child who is trying to be special because it is hungry to be seen and validated. Please be my guest as we enter deeper into the symbolic language of the August tides. Make it yourself comfortable. This is Mystic Matters. Haha! I would like to begin this journey by painting an image of three archetypal forces each and every one of us is carrying inside. First, this is the child that simply wants to play and express. The second is the king, the inner authority who gives expression direction and responsibility and form in the shared reality. The third is the unconscious soul who carries what the established authority has forgotten or denied. To make this image more concrete, I would like to share the story of Iron John. It's a fairy tale by the brothers Grimms. The German title is Eisenhans, and I'm just gonna share the beginning. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom, and next to the kingdom was a huge forest. One day a hunter was sent out to hunt a deer and never returned. So the king sent more hunters in to look for the first, and they all disappeared. After that, the king sent all the hunters with all their dogs, and they all disappeared. So the king forbid anyone to enter the forest, which no one did for many years. And one day a strange huntsman arrives, who is seeking a situation, and asked the king to enter the forest. He announced, "Let me venture on my own risk. Of fear I know nothing." So he went into the forest, where he met a deep pool. When his dog came closer to the pool, a hand came out of the pool, grabbed the dog and pulled it under. So the huntsman went back to the kingdom, gathered some men with some buckets. They went back to the forest and emptied the pool. Down at the pool there was a wild man with skin like brown like rusty iron and hair falling over his face and shoulders. The huntsman took him and brought him back to the kingdom, where he was put into an iron cage into the public courtyard. Of course, the king forbid anyone to open the cage by pain of death. The key he gave to his queen, who put it under her pillow. The king and the queen had an 8-year-old child, a boy. And one day he was playing with his golden ball and it fell into the cage of the wild man, the Iron John. Of course he asked to have the ball back, but Iron John said, "Nay, you must open the cage." And of course the boy said, "No, I can't. No one must open it." And of course it is a fairy tale. It happened 3 times, 3 days. And on the 3rd day, finally, the boy went to his mother's bedroom, took the key, opened the cage. And so Iron John, the anima, the unconscious, was free and went back to the forest. But of course the boy was afraid to get into trouble, so he asked Iron John to take him with him. So why do I think the story matters? The boy had to free and unleash the wild subconscious to stay in touch with his play. And in doing so, he actually found a new father figure, bringing him into the wild. It was an initiatory process for him, where he began his story of maturation and actually got access to a wisdom that the king and the kingdom could not give him. The solar eclipse that is happening on August 12th is happening in the sign of Leo. And when it's happening from where you're able to see it, which is mostly Spain, you're able to see a star right next to it. And that is the heart of the king. It's the star called Regulus. And it's the heart of the king in the constellation of Leo. But since 2012, Regulus, the heart of the lion, entered in tropical zodiac, the sign of Virgo. So, the heart of the king star, is in a realm where it's rather supposed to serve. But there is a lot more happening this month. Also in Leo, we have Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system, coming in close relation with Mercury, the planet of communication and craft. So together they say, speak greatly, share your story, and give your heart a voice. And I would like to invite you to think back into the time of February until May, because what wants to be expressed might be in deep relation with a dream that came up in this time. So, Mercury and Jupiter say, sing your song. But there is another archetypal force opposing it. And it says, is this really yours? I'm talking about Pluto. Pluto, the Greek called him Hades, who is the god of the underworld, of the subconscious. And he resides these years, he resides in the sign of Aquarius. So we might even talk about the collective subconscious. And my invitation is to share, but also to listen. Let the subconscious answer. And in doing so, you might receive quite valuable stuff for the further journey. So, to boil it down in one sentence, let the shadow of the group challenge the glamour of the self-expression. Just a few days ago, I got this beautiful print of Oscar Wilde's A Picture of Dorian Gray as a birthday present for my mother, and I just enjoyed reading a few beautiful passages, and in there I discovered the preface that I didn't know, and this preface is talking beautifully about this Leonian Aquarian opposition. And I'm going to share some essential parts. The artist is the creator of beautiful things. To reveal art and conceal the artist is art's aim. The critic is he who can translate into another manner or a new material his impression of beautiful things. The highest as the lowest form of criticism is a mode of autobiography. Those who find ugly meaning in beautiful things are corrupt without being charming. This is a fault. Those who find beautiful meanings in beautiful things are the cultivated. For these there is hope. They are the elect to whom beautiful things mean only beauty. There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written, that is all. No artist has ethical sympathy. An ethical sympathy in an artist is an unpardonable mannerism of style. No artist is ever morbid. The artist can express everything. Thought and language are to the artist instruments of an art. Vice and virtue are to the artist materials for an art. All art is at once surface and symbol. Those who go beneath the surface do so at their own peril. Those who read the symbol do so at their peril. It is the spectator and not life that art really mirrors. Diversity of opinion about work of art shows that the work is new, complex and vital. When critics disagree, the artist is in accord with himself. We can forgive a man for making a useful thing as long as he does not admire it. The only excuse for making a useless thing is that one admires it intensely. All art is quite useless. So, to bring forth one last question of this axis is, whilst Leo just wants to express and sing its song, the Aquarian side is asking, is that really your song? Or is that the voice you've learned so the tribe would love you? There are two more things that happen to take place whilst the sun is eclipsed. And the first is happening in Libra, and it's two celestial bodies. The first is Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and sensuality, and the other is Bacchus, or better known as Dionysus, the god of ecstasy and wine. But for me especially, he is a very honest character of embodiment, connecting to the creative force of sexuality, and he's quite also a mystic wanderer. And so as these two celestial bodies are meeting in Libra, they are forming a couple of aspects towards Leo. So the desire to express meets the desire to relate. So Leo says, I express, and Libra says, yes, but can you also receive? So there's an invitation for the other Leo. Venus and Dionysus bring sensuality and wildness into the realm of relation. In other words, the instinctual body wants to return through beauty, harmony, rhythm, and reciprocity. So when Leo says, here's my fire, the Libran side says, yes, but can it also become warmth between us? There's one last part of the sky I would like to take a deeper look at, and that is the area of Cancer. Expression needs a vessel. And in the sign of Cancer, we have two celestial bodies. The first is the good old Mars. Mars symbolizes our will to manifest. In line with Mars is Ceres, or better known as Demeter. Demeter is the goddess of nourishment and cultivation. So the warrior archetype of Mars in this case is not very forceful, but manifesting is happening through shelter, through ritual. So it's utterly important to create a safe space where there is the possibility to connect with the world of feelings. Let us take a deeper look now onto the ongoing patterns of this lunation cycle. The full moon, which is also an eclipse, is taking place in the sign of Pisces. But a full moon is not a separate event. The full moon is just the moment where the spirit that was conceived at the new moon becomes most fully illuminated. And this is taking place on the 28th of August. The sign of Pisces is inviting us to perceive the greater patterns and to dive deeper and deeper into the unconscious of ourself and of the surrounding world, of our environment, of society. And in doing so, we might contemplate the question, what greater pattern is my expression part of? The full moon itself is in close relation with the asteroid Chiron, who these days is in Taurus. Chiron, as a mythological figure, was a great teacher and healer, but also warrior, who was carrying a deep, deep wound of abandonment. In Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign, and by that deeply related to the body, Chiron brings forth the question, where did I abandon my sensual truth? And by that I mean my body, my desires, my tangible pleasure, in order to belong. So where did I abandon this in order to belong? To bring it back to the beginning, for me this is also the child. Because the child is not just play, it is also the body, and by that I mean the instinctual truth. Oh, this tastes good. I like this. This doesn't feel good. I would like to stress the importance in our day and age how much this abandonment and denial is related to the society and to the group, and the fear of not belonging and being left behind. Pisces has a rather broad spiritual mindset about that, and there's a great possibility to dream into that. But I would like you to bring that dream home. And by home, I could mean the literal home, but I also mean the body, and it could also be just a temporary sanctuary, an altar, where there's the possibility to meet the self and to observe these patterns, and by creating a safe space for the soul to observe the soul, which is quite a connected and related being. So in these days, ritual can become a vessel for the child to return without chaos, the king taking his seat without tyranny, and the unconscious soul to speak without being swallowed by the group. Thank you already really much for staying with me until now. There's one more thing I would like to point out, and that is that this story I was talking about here is going to unfold until spring 2028. Why is that? The nodal axis of the moon is traveling through Leo and Aquarius until 2028. And because Pluto is in the game, we might even say that the future is resurrecting from Aquarius. But even if this story keeps unfolding and we're gonna have more eclipses in the next 2 years, I still like to point out the importance of this initiatory threshold moment. Our ancestors might call it the portal of the dragon, where we are in right now. And still, I would like you not to stress yourself to express your true self right here, right now, in these couple of weeks. Like I said, this is an initiatory threshold. So please, practice devotional care, create sacred spaces, be in touch with what actually wants to express. I am wishing you a meaningful journey over these next weeks. And beginning in October, I will be sharing 2 monthly meditations, meeting these patterns I'm talking about more deeply in a very personal, ritualistic embodied way. And if you're interested in that, you can just read more. You will find the link in the description. It's jakobmerlin.com/attune. I will be back here on YouTube on the 21st of August. And until then, may your fire become expression, warmth, and livable form. Farewell.